And just like the grooming gang scandal, anyone who questioned these policies was silenced. Whistleblowers were censored, data was buried, leaders told us to trust the science while ignoring inconvenient truths. We cannot keep making the same mistakes. The grooming gang scandal is one of the darkest chapters in our country's history. Thousands of vulnerable girls were let down while institutions covered it up to protect their reputations. And now, just this week, Parliament voted down a motion to hold an inquiry into these crimes. Labour MPs representing the party that claims to stand for justice propped up this disgraceful decision. They're not protecting the victims, they're protecting their career interests. Let's start with the facts. In Rotherham alone, over 1,400 girls were abused between 1997 and 2013. And this wasn't just a failure, it was a downright cover-up. Police ignored reports, councils dismissed complaints, whistleblowers were silenced. Why? Because they were too scared of being called racist or causing trouble. They sacrificed children's safety on the altar of political correctness. And now, instead of addressing these failures, Parliament has voted against an inquiry. They're more interested in covering their tracks than delivering justice, and that's exactly why trust in British politics is at an all-time low. This week, Elon Musk, the world's richest man, called out the UK on this scandal. He said what our own leaders are too scared to admit. Political correctness has been used as a weapon to silence the truth and protect the guilty. Meanwhile, Labour MPs, the same party that blocked the inquiry, are trying to spin this as a non-issue. But let's not forget who we're dealing with here. This is the party that in the 1970s had ties to the Paedophile Information Exchange, a group that advocated for the decriminalisation of child abuse. And now we see the arrest of former Labour MP Ivor Kaplan on suspected paedophile charges. The rot in this system isn't just historic, it's ongoing, and we all have to ask, when will it end? So, what would I do? First, I'd demand independent inquiries that leave no stone unturned. No more excuses, no more cover-ups. And second, I'd ensure that any foreign nationals, including dual passport holders, convicted of these crimes are deported. Let them rot in some third world prison. Citizenship and residency are privileges, not rights. If you abuse that privilege, you forfeit your place here in the United Kingdom. And finally, I'd hold institutions accountable. If a council leader or police chief turned a blind eye, they must face real consequences. Enough with the scapegoating. This scandal isn't just about what happened in the past, it's about what's still happening today. Parliament blocking an inquiry, a former Labour MP arrested, a party with historic ties to paedophile advocacy still running the show. You keep voting for these people. Why? It's time for accountability. If you agree, share this video. Let's demand answers and demand justice and ensure this country never sees anything so appalling happen again. There's a new virus making headlines, HMPV or human metapneumovirus, if I've said it right. It's causing respiratory illness in children, the elderly and the vulnerable. But this isn't just about HMPV, it's about the bigger picture. The cracks in our public health system are being exposed and they lead straight back to our response to COVID-19. Just like the grooming gang scandal, the pandemic response has been riddled with cover-ups, silenced dissent and a refusal to admit mistakes. Today I'm going to show you what this outbreak reveals about immunity, public health policies and the cost of ignoring the truth. HMPV isn't new. It's been around for decades. For most people, it causes mild symptoms, but for the elderly, children and those with compromised immune systems, it can be deadly. What's alarming isn't just the virus itself, it's the surge we're seeing now. Experts are linking this outbreak to weakened immunity, caused, at least in part, by lockdowns and social distancing. For 2 years, lockdowns and social distancing kept us away from viruses like HMPV, RSV, and even the flu. That might have seemed like a good idea in the short term, but it disrupted how our immune systems work. Professor Mihai Netea, one of the world's leading experts on immunity, warned us about this. He explained how reduced exposure to everyday pathogens weakens what's called trained immunity, our body's natural ability to fight infections. Now we're seeing that play out. The HMPV surge isn't just a random event, it's a consequence of decisions we made during the COVID-19 pandemic. Lockdowns and vaccine mandates were sold as the ultimate solution, but they came with heavy costs, mental health crises, economic devastation, and now a population more vulnerable to illnesses that we used to manage quite easily. And just like the grooming gang scandal, anyone who questioned these policies was silenced. Whistleblowers were censored, data was buried, leaders told us to trust the science while ignoring inconvenient truths. We cannot keep making the same mistakes.